Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Insta360 X4 Air, which just came out, to the Insta360 X5. As some of you may know, Insta360 are a supporter of this channel. They're one of my biggest sponsors, and they asked me to do a video where I could show fellow cyclists the difference between these two cameras, specifically when using on the bike. So that's what we're going to do today. This is the X4 Air here, and this is the X5. And on the surface, they look almost identical. And in fact, when I looked at them and I looked at the spec sheet, it took me a little bit of time to even figure out what was the difference between them. But after using them for a while, especially on the bike, there's a few key differences which should shape your decision making on which one that you buy, especially if you use it for cycling. In today's video, I'm going to go through the raw spec sheet as well as some of the measurements that I've done myself. The second is I'm going to show you how I mounted on my bike and the different tests that I did on the bike to get the different footage that I'm going to be comparing. Then we're going to do a footage comparison for the daytime, different positions on the bike, as well as, the most importantly, some nighttime footage where there were some massive differences, which surprised me quite a bit. Finally, I'll give you guys my conclusions on which one you should buy depending on your use case, and hopefully it'll help you decide which camera you'd like more. All right, let's get into the video. I love a spec comparison, and I did a few tests of my own to see how accurate these were. So let's go through the spec sheet provided by Insta360 line by line, and I can tell you a little bit about each of them. First up, we have the sensors. The Insta360 X5 has a slightly larger sensor. I thought this fraction here didn't mean much, but you will see in some footage later that it does play a big part. In addition to that, the X5 has 2 additional imaging chips, which is used for the pure video mode. Next up, we have the frame rate. For all my tests, I tested everything at 8K 30 on both cameras so I can get an equal comparison of the footage. But one interesting thing to note is that if you do step that down, the X4 can actually shoot at 6K, whereas the X5 shoots at 5.7. What does this mean? I'm not sure, because 5.7K and 6K virtually look the same to me. Next up, we have the claimed weight of 165 grams versus 200 grams, and here is my test of that. 35 grams might not sound like much, but it actually represents about a 20% difference in weight, and it does matter when it comes to cycling. We're going to talk about that later. Wind guard. Here is an audio comparison of the two cameras side by side. All right, it is a decently windy day today, and we are going to do a comparison of the microphone. So this is me speaking to the Insta360 X4 Air, and this is me speaking to the Insta360 X5. We'll see how they both perform. I've set up the exact same settings on both of them. We've got a little bit of water action as well going on down here. And like I said before, a little bit of a breeze today, so we'll see how well these microphones perform with that wind. So this is the audio comparison. They sound pretty much the same, which is good enough for me. Battery and runtime. The numbers here is pretty much what I got. The X4 Air runs a little bit shorter than the X5 at 8K 30. What this means in real life is that when I used about half of the battery, the X4 had about 40% left, whereas the X5 had about 50% left. X5 does have fast charging, but because it has a larger battery, in reality, both of the cameras pretty much charge at about the same speed. And that wraps up all the important specs that I tested side by side. Now let's quickly discuss how I mounted these cameras on my bike to get the footage that I did for this test. The first way was on my handlebar. Typically I would have my head unit here, but I can also put a mount at the front where I put the Insta360 camera. This is the most straightforward mounting option, and if you have a non-proprietary bar, you can in fact buy Insta360 mounts which allow you to use a light, the camera, and a head unit at the same time. Unfortunately, mine isn't compatible with that, so I had to do with one or the other. And the second way I mounted is my favorite way of using this camera, which is the rear tail mount. This is what I use to capture B-roll for some of my favorite videos, especially like this one here, riding at 1 AM in Sydney CBD. This one here, where I caught the metro to the end of the line and then I rode home. And this video here, where I went for a nice spring bike ride with my wife. This is my favorite way to use the X5 because I think it's best used to capture B-roll and also just environmental footage. And I think this POV is incredibly unique because I don't know any other action camera that can pick up an image like this. What I did to test the footage was I would do some riding with the cameras both on, both running at the same time, and then occasionally I would switch their positions so I could get comparison footage. Remember how earlier in the video I said that the weight of the camera does actually impact on how you use it. And the reason for this is because every mounting option for the X5 or the X4 Air involves some kind of cantilever force. I don't want to get into the physics too much, but the force here is essentially the weight of the camera multiplied by the perpendicular distance between the camera and the pivot point. Since the mounting point is at the end of this rectangular camera, as well as a lot of the mounting options being like this pole here, what I noticed through using the cameras is that a lighter camera has less wobbling, is more secure, and does result in slightly better stabilized footage. Now I'm sure you're wondering what the difference in video quality is between these two, so here is a side-by-side comparison of the X4 Air and the X5. And I even zoomed it in 2 times just so you can see if there's any visual discrepancies. As far as I could tell, for a daylight scenario like this, there is no differences, even when I freeze frame and we zoom into one tiny part of the video. I continued this test at Centennial Park where I did a lap with the X4 Air on the front and a lap with the X5 on the front, and you can see the comparison footage here. And of course, like I said at the start of the video, I also have comparison footage of the 2 cameras running at the same time, but on different mounting systems. Looking at this, you'll probably draw the same conclusion as me. The footage is almost identical. I cannot pick up any artifacts, any warping, any difference in the daytime footage. And the story is the same, going through heavily shaded areas like under this bridge here. I can't see any apparent drop in frame rate or additional grain from ISO. And at this point in making this video, I was asking myself, why does the X5 even exist? It's a more expensive camera, it's heavier, and the only apparent benefit is a longer battery life. But then I tested it at night. Shooting in low light situations is where the X5 shines. And if you don't believe me, this is what the X4 Air footage looks like at the exact same time. Obviously, the first thing you'll notice is that it's much darker, but you'll also see that the lights are flickering, and that's because the frame rate is lower, trying to allow more light in. The side-by-side shots look like that as well, and I even stood still and did some panning shots, and it looks like this. There's 2 reasons why the X5 footage looks much better than the X4 Air at nighttime, and the first is to do with the sensor. A bigger sensor allows more light to come in and gives you a better image quality in low light. And secondly is those 2 extra image processing chips which allow it to have pure video mode. Pure video mode must have some magic going on in the background because it just makes all the scenery look much brighter. With that being said, I did put the cameras on the ground in a static situation on a relatively well lit intersection, and the X4 wasn't too bad. But you'll see in the next clip here the true advantage the X5 has in very bad lighting scenarios. You can't even see anything from the X4 Air. So in this video, we have compared the specs of both cameras, done a few little field tests ourselves. I've also shown you how I mount both of the cameras on my bike, and we've got some comparison footage during the daytime and the nighttime. So the only thing left to discuss now is the price. This is in US dollars, but the X5 comes in at $550 and the X4 Air comes in at $399. Now, which one camera is best for you? Which one is more value for money? Well, that's really up to yourself. For me personally, that extra $150 is more worth it for the X5. I have a YouTube channel. The most important thing to me is capturing the best footage I can, no matter the lighting situation. For others though, maybe the portability, the lighter camera, and the slightly better price tag of the X4 Air could be better for you. So I'm gonna leave that with you. I hope this video was helpful for your purchasing decision. And if you're looking for a discount, now is the perfect time, because between now and the 2nd of January, Insta360 are having their Black Friday and Christmas sales where you can pick up a pretty juicy discount. So I'd definitely look into that if you're interested in one of these cameras. In addition, if you would like to use my affiliate link in the description below or the code I've got there, Insta360 have told me that if you buy a Go Ultra, they'll throw in a free 256GB memory card, and if you buy an X5, they'll give you a free replacement kit lens. So those are some pretty good deals that you can get, and also using my affiliate link is a great way to support my channel, let Insta360 know that you guys like watching my videos, and it's a great way to help me out, so I appreciate it. Now, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Eat rice and ride bikes. Bye.